Hi everyone, this is Dr. Essie Stacey, helping you to be well. Hi everyone, welcome to Dr. Essie's kitchen.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Essie Stacey.
I'm going to turn that off. Right, so I'll just hang on for people to sign in. Do check out the chat box and check it works. Say hello and all of that. Yeah. Whilst we're waiting for people to log in and stuff like that. So basically, what I'm doing today is I have my phone there so that I can see what you can see and see the delay. So just turning the volume down a little bit on that. So what I've got today is I've got me in the kitchen, bits of it with Hannah as well, making a star entrance into there. And so I've got various bits and pieces, so I won't tell you what they are. Hi, Caroline. I won't tell you what they are, but I'm just going to surprise you with those. So if you do, hi Regina, good vibes to you too. Good vibes to everyone. And hi Ines. Bonjour. So yeah, if you do have some questions, because this is also supposed to be a question and answer, do tap them into the box and I will answer those in between. Your question basically can be anything about the fermented food or questions about things, any of the topics that I've covered before, and I'll do my best to try and answer those questions. And you've got Caroline to thank for me putting up my kitchen today. She's been in it, I guess, more than most of you. So, and Ines. But yeah, just I guess she knows just how different my kitchen is and how important it is for me to share that with you all. And so I'm going to start. I'm going to start with, let's see, here goes. So I want to show you some stuff in here, in my cupboard. And one of the things I want to show you is, let's just shift a few things out of the way. Yeah, so here's my powders. I've got some tamarind there, which I have to be perfectly honest, I don't know what to do with it, and it keeps sitting there. So if anyone's got a nice recipe for me, then please do bring it on. So yeah, I want to show you these. Now this was called China grass, and it's kind of not that I want to show you, so I'm going to get the actual one out. It's up here. This is the proper, this one up here. It's the proper thing, and it's the Japanese seaweed. So agar, but the Japanese version, right? I don't know why that says £1 on there, because maybe actually that small amount was £1. But I want to show you this because it's absolutely amazing. And for some reason it doesn't. I thought I went into a Chinese shop once and got some China grass, and it just did not come out the same way, because Yasko showed me how to make this. And you know, it's just seaweed, but delish. It's like a substitute for the pasta, and Hannah absolutely loves it. So I'm just going to show you how to make this. Basically, all you do is you put it in hot water for about 3 minutes and then take it out again. And then you combine it with whatever kind of sauce or stuff you have to give it some flavour, because otherwise it has no flavour. But because it's seaweed, it swells up in your tummy, so you don't feel hungry. So this is it, you can hear it, crunchy. But you can't snap it, it's not like pasta. And it goes in and dissolves. Well, doesn't dissolve, but if you leave it in long enough, it will dissolve, however. So you can't, it's not pasta, it won't, you can't just leave it in there forever. You have to leave it just for a few minutes till it's gone soft and then bring it out. You can see that a little bit, like that. But if you, so you do have to watch it. And then you just try it to see what consistency you want. So that's still stringy. I need it a bit softer than that. So I'll leave that for a few minutes. So I want to show you also in my, I've got some coconut sugar there, use that sometimes. I want to show you the seaweed. So I've got various types of seaweed in my cupboard. There's one. And is that the same one? Yeah, that's the same one, more of the same. I'll tell which ones I don't like so much. Yes, that's the one I'm after, this one. The wakame seaweed. This one. I'm going to show you how to make this lovely, really easy to do kind of ferment, which you can just leave on the side and help yourself to. Really easy. And this again from the Japanese shop. Let's have a look. So you're going to put this in hot water and let it, and it really expands. So this is going to make loads. And let it go soft is the first thing. So here it is. I'm going to put the whole packet in, and I will just let that, I'll just leave that, and it will swell up and rehydrate. So this is about 4 minutes now, and it's softer. I can leave it longer, but that'll do. And then I'll just strain it out. And there it is, little seaweed. It doesn't really taste of anything, so you do need to season it, salt, pepper, and then I'm going to mix it with a stew to have that as a meal. So I've actually added some more water to this. It's only been a couple of minutes. You can see it's getting a lot thicker. So let's see what this is like for the taste test. So I've mixed it with some stew, some sort of chili con carne type chili. Was it nice? Can you have some of the noodles?
Yeah.
Quite difficult to get on. Any good? Nice?
Yeah, they were really nice.
Excellent. So, in here, this pot is my garlic oil. It's all back, can't see anything. I'll bring it out so that you can see it. So, you might be able to see that a little bit. Can't smell it, but it's a very heavy garlic smell. So, show you. Oh, trying to find one. There you go. Look, whole garlic in there. and olive oil. That's been in there for months, probably 6 months now, more maybe. And I usually put the date on these, but I haven't on this one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to decant some of that out and add it to my seaweed. I'm going to strain the water off. See how thick it is? It's like the seaweed that you get on the beach now. The beach in Brighton anyway. There you go. I'm going to drain the water off and add the garlic oil. If you haven't got garlic oil, you could just add chopped garlic and that would do the same. And a bit of olive oil. So I poured it into there and then decanted it into there, and I strained off some of the seaweed. You can see how much there is now, and I'm going to put that into a jar. So that's it in the jar, and there's still stuff left over. That's the size of the jar, and so I'm going to add some of the oil. Not too much, because you know it's precious oil. Like that. Mix it all up, and once I'm sure that it's properly cool, it is kind of cool, I'm going to add some shoyu to that and let that ferment. So I'm just going to put a little bit of sugar in as well, just to speed up this ferment. I'm going to stick some sugar in. Yeah. Maybe another one. That's good. Yeah. And then a square of shoyu. Yeah, that'll do. Quite a lot. And take that fork and give it a stir. That's it. Get that sugar out of the way. That's it. See if you can stir it. Mix it all in. Lovely. Yeah. Get rid of that stuff off there and then give it a stir again. Good. So that's good, all mixed in, and then put the lid on. We've got one of these airlock containers that lets the air out but not the bad stuff in. And really we can start eating that from tomorrow. It's a nice little side relish, and you know you're getting the wonderful antioxidants and some microbes as well. Thank you, Hannah, my assistant.
Yep, chill.
Great. How did you find that? So I just wonder how many of you are consuming seaweed on a regular basis. I know it's in my powders for those of you that have those, but outside of that, how much seaweed are you eating on a regular basis? That's do type that in into the chat and let me know. Let me write that in. How much seaweed are you eating on a regular basis? There you go. Yeah, I'd be interested to know, because if you remember back to when we did Okinawa Island, Pork Island, and we looked at really what they were consuming, one of the most important things was the amount of seaweed they were having. They were having something like a kilo of seaweed. I don't know how you get a kilo of seaweed in. There are some very heavy seaweeds. Kombu is quite a heavy seaweed. Yeah, I know. Everyone's like none, none, none. um, Thanks for that, Caroline. Because it is really nice. You can see right at the end, I've got the taste test. And my son Luke actually ate some. He's not on the taste test, but that just shows you, he had some of that. Um, um, so let's have a look at some of the comments. Lisa bought some sea pasta. That's the green sort of the green tiny little things. Do the same thing with it, and that's quite tasty. You put it with I think that's what the stringy little green things. Um, um, so what was the first white seaweed? That was it's Canten noodles. Canten noodles is what that white, the first one was. And it's agar agar. The Chinese would use, it's the agar gel type thing, but the way the Japanese cook that, they prepare it over 2 years. So I think the agar agar, the other stuff, the China glass that you saw, grass or whatever it was, that is sort of mass manufactured and processed, etc. But the Canten noodles, it's actually a red seaweed when it comes out of the sea. And then they process it over a 2 year period. I don't know, the Japanese are so sort of meticulous and painstaking with their food. And Yasko was saying that they would use the powder of that, the powder form, and they would mix it in stews and rice and things like that, and it makes you feel fuller. And I don't know what the other health benefits are, and I need to look it up. But also the powder, they make desserts and things like that out of it. So yeah, I think that seaweed would be a really both of them. The Canten, if you're getting the Japanese version, is quite pricey. If you're feeding a family or what have you. But every now and again, you can have that. It's a good. Obviously, it's just seaweed. It's gluten free. It's additive free. So it's a good. Hannah likes it as a kind of a noodle. But as I said, in that is if you overcook it, it just literally dissolves. It becomes like a gel. But the other seaweed, the green one, the wakame seaweed, that's a really good ferment, and you just leave it like that. You can put it in the fridge if you don't want the ferment to run away from you, but you can just have a little bit of that as a garnish as well on with your meals. Or just have it as the base, because you can flavor that up. You can imagine I just put garlic in there. What if you'd have put some chilies in that, or some other spices in that, or you could have put some bell peppers, some what do you call it? I'm using the word râpé. What I mean, shredded bell peppers and stuff like that in there. Different vegetables, mix different vegetables up with it, just to to big it up a bit. So there's lots you can do, and I'm just reminded of that the webinar that we did on Pork Island, where the whole paper, I for those of you that didn't tune into that one, I looked at a paper that was looking at Okinawa Island. It's one of the blue zones where the people there live are amongst the longest lived in the developed world, and the paper's focusing on how much they eat meat, how much meat they eat, and particularly the pork. But it's sort of hidden in that paper is how the Okinawans were putting away a kilogram of seaweed a day. So I think we do need to up our seaweed, because seaweed is important for detox. After the radiation damage that was done, seaweed is one of the things that would help to correct radiation damage. So it's one of the things that helps to detox. It's a constant. It should be one of our constants to help in that regular detox. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next one. Enjoy this. So I've got some leftover seaweed water here. That's seaweed in there. And also some leftover seaweed water that I've mixed with the rest of the cabbage water, fermented cabbage water. And then I found this in the fridge, which is some stock. I think it's chicken stock in there. So I'm going to make a kind of a, I think a mushroom. There we go. Look. I'm going to make a bit of a soup out of that. Waste not, want not, and see what comes of it. Yeah, I've got some dried up old mushrooms in the windowsill, and then so I think I might just stick those also in with this soup. So I've got some onions and crushed garlic in there, so I'm going to put some of these mushrooms in as well, and just break them up and stick those in. Let's see what that's like. So what have I got on my veg bowl? Mushrooms, onions, aubergines, some tomatoes, a bit of rhubarb, and some courgette back there, and some ginger. I think I'm going to put some of this. I'm going to try a bit of rhubarb in that soup, see what happens. Yeah, I'll put some of that in there. Chop it up, stick that in there. That's going in. I'm going to put the lid on and let that, maybe put some more oil in there. Put the lid on and let that cook a little bit. I know, and you can put some of my powders in as well. I'm just going to put some of the oil, the fat from the top of that chicken stock. So it was shui koji chicken. It might even be meat, I can't remember. It was shui koji anyway. And it was actually for the dog, because the dog gets good food here. And then what I do is I take the liquid leftovers from the dog's food, and that's what we have for our stock, for our soup. So I'll leave that for a bit. Smelling good. That nose test. My friend Yasko, he always says, good smell. So the smell has to be good. Smelling good. Okay. That's a bit hot, but no matter. So I'm going to add these leftover waters. See what happens. And the seaweed. Let that go, heat up, and I might give it a taste a bit later. Here we go. Let's do the nose test. It smells quite seaweedy. Let's have a taste. Yeah, actually, can't taste the seaweed too much. Very mushroomy. More mushroomy than anything. So I'll need to make that a bit more creamy so I can add some coconut cream, coconut milk. That will cream that up a little bit. I'm also going to add some herbs. I've got dried sage from the garden, so I'll put some of that in as well. And also I nabbed from the garden some rosemary, so I'm going to stick those in, and also some coconut milk as well to cream it up a bit, just to temper the mushroom a little bit. So there's the dog's food, and I'm going to use this leftovers of that And what I might also do is could you some of these bacon bits that I kind of like lard on, and we can throw those in the soup as well. And of course, I've got sake leaves here, so I'm going to put some of that in the soup because that will give it some good flavour. Yeah, I'll do that. So I'm throwing about that much in the soup. Yeah, that will enhance the flavour. And there's not that much in there, so I might need to open another can for that. Yeah. Another can. I know it doesn't look great, but it's going to taste great. Leftover soup. It's going to be red soup, isn't it, from the cabbage? So let's see how this is going. Just a little. Whoa. Boiling. Shouldn't really be boiling like that. Should have turned the heat down. But it's ready to come off there and get blended. Put it in the blender. That's great. Smells good. Smells a lot creamier now. So this is the consistency of it. Whizzed up. It's looking nice. Smelling mushroomy. Smells like mushroom soup. Let me have a taste. Really creamy. Creamy mushroom soup. Delish. To do the taste test with Hannah. How was that? Yeah, so just wanted to put that question out. Does anyone else do that with their leftovers? So let me clarify about the dog's leftovers. So basically what I do is I get some carcasses, which are grass-fed carcasses from the farmer's choice, and I put shoikuji on them and let them do for a bit, and then I'll put them on kind of slow cook overnight in some water. Yeah. And so what you saw there, the bowl, the stock was from that. And then what I would do with the meat on the carcass is take it off, and you saw that in the fridge. That was the dog's food in the fridge. So it was the dog's leftovers. So that's the joke, is that we eat the dog's leftovers. He eats very well. And it's not actually our dog, it's Ines' dog who's on this call. And so yeah, so you can watch the taste test later. So sake leaves in the soup. The sake leaves just gives it this, it's just this boom umami to the soup. So you saw me last webinar using sake leaves for the dessert, and now it's sake leaves in the soup. Next webinar it's going to be sake leaves in the bread. I am doing breads in 2 weeks' time. For those of you that are waiting patiently for breads, it's coming. So yeah, this is a way that the red water was the water from red cabbage kombucha. So we had literally just all of the water that was left over. So rather than, you could drink it, you can make a shot out of it. We often do that. I didn't show that, haven't shown that today. But I just thought, why not throw it in the soup? Because again, the Poles, they'll use their sauerkraut and cabbage water in their soups often. And so you're getting all of this antioxidant material in your soup, plus the seaweed, and in fact, the seaweed was really quite a strong smell. And you thought, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to eat that. But actually, the mushrooms just took all of that away. So it ended up being a mushroom tasting soup, really creamy. You'll see in the taste test when the guys have some, when I think it's Hannah has some at the end. So yeah, any questions on that? Do put some questions in there. You must. I'm waiting for questions. Do you have any just general questions? Not. It doesn't have to be questions about the kitchen. Was there anything else in the kitchen that you saw that piqued your interest? Anything that that you want explaining? Yes, Ines. Jealous about your own dog. Yes, he's in Hotel Stacy here. Yeah. So any other questions? Do think some up. So think some difficult questions for me. Okay. So let's go to the next bit. Something to drink now. So what else have I got? I've got this. Look at that. That is elderflower and rhubarb kombucha. Now Gloria Ruth gave me this idea because she made me some cordial, elderflower cordial, because elderflower's out at the moment, and it was delish. Then I mixed it with some rhubarb, and it gave it this kind of tropical taste, and you like grapefruity tropical taste. And so I thought I'd just put some together and see what happened. So these are some leftover SCOBY from our barrel, and this is our barrel here. This is our kitchen barrel to make kombucha. We go through that much. So look, let's take this off, see what's happening. There he is, bubbling away. And nose test, smells good. I need to taste that and see whether it's sweet or vinegary. It's been in there maybe 3 or 4 days, and it's hot outside, so, and I don't do any measuring, so sometimes I don't put enough sugar in and it comes out really tart. But anyway, so that's our barrel, our kombucha, home kombucha barrel. But what I did was I'd taken some of the SCOBY out and put that in there because it was getting a bit thick. So if anyone wants bits of SCOBY and they're near me, come get some. What does it smell like? Delicious. Elderflower kombucha.
Sweet.
Should we try it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Let's see what this tastes like. Oh, it's too fine. That's not bad at all. That is not bad at all. You have some. Any good? No, you don't like it.
I don't know. I'll pull it.
Okay. Try that one then. See if you like that. Any good?
Really good.
That bit better.
It is my favourite drink.
Okay, great. I'm going to put a little bit more sugar in that. And
Okay.
it's just loving it. So what I've done also is I've just fed this, my beautiful rhubarb and elderflower champagne with some sugar because it was a little bit tart. And what I want to do now is to put it in the bottles so that it's ready to drink. So that means it'll be a little bit sweet going into the bottle, but it just means that the ferment doesn't run away and become vinegary tomorrow. So a little bit of sugar in there so that it stays perfect for a bit longer. Look at that, it's just loving that sugar. So I'll put it in the bottles later, put it in the fridge, because really it's ready to drink now, and which means that I should have harvested it, say yesterday or the day before when it was still sweet, and then it's then going to last longer. So you can see what I've done. I've decanted the elderflower and rhubarb out into, look at it, it looks wonderful, these bottles. But there's going to be bugs in there. You can see tiny little SCOBY and stuff, so I'm not going to waste that. I'm going to top it up again and see how much more flavour comes out of that. So I'm going to make a quick solution. I'm going to just show you how, I've just got 2 bags. In they go. Might put 3 in there. I'm going to put hot water and some sugar in there. So in with the sugar, and the most important thing is that it's sweet when you put it into the ferment. And I'm not really measuring, I'm just seeing how we go really. But as I said, the rhubarb eats sugar like nobody's business. So you need a lot of sugar. I've done that, and then I'll add some hot water. So I've added the hot water, and I'm going to stir it to dissolve all the sugar. Otherwise the sugar will just sit at the bottom. It won't necessarily all dissolve in. You can hear it grating at the bottom. So I'm going to leave that to sit. Now, traditional kombucha, you're going to take these tea bags out after 15 minutes. I've never really understood why. And I hardly ever do it. So I'm going to let it cool down, and I will add the cooled mixture to the old rhubarb and elderflower. And if I need to, I'll top it up with water if I need more. So this is quite strong, and then I'll top it up with water to fill the jar up. So there's the tea, and I actually have left it in all day. So it's pretty dark. But I'm going to just taste it to see if it's sweet enough. Just taste a little bit of that. Yes, I can taste some of the tartness in it from the tea, so I'm going to add, it's actually peppermint tea. I'm going to add some more sugar, so it's really hyper sweet. A bit more of that. Stir that in. I'm going to take the bags out and add it to the mixture. So I've taken the bags out. I'm going to pour it in with the elderflower and rhubarb, the old one, see whether I can get any more out of it. And so I've got that much left, so I'm just going to top that up with water. Need to leave a little bit at the top for the SCOBY to form. And what I'll do is each day well, not each day, after about 3 days, I'll check it to see how sweet it is. Mix all that in. You can see already it's starting to bubble, which is good, because it means there's some microbes in there. Yeah, I might just put some more water, a bit more water in that. That's good, with the bit of extra water. And there we go. Great. Lovely. So how did you enjoy that? So I'm drinking some of that from my elderflower and rhubarb, and I also, this has actually got homemade tonic water in it. So I made my own tonic water and added that. So you can play around with your kombuchas, you know, it doesn't have to be your standard thing. And the elderflower is out in bloom at the moment. Caroline, I know you've got some on your tree, and it actually, you can freeze it. So get out there before it's done and get all of that stuff off your tree, put it in bags and put it in the freezer, because you can use it. So you can use it, you know, throughout the year. So yeah, let's the question here that Caroline's got. So is it just rhubarb, elderflower and SCOBY with tea? Yeah. yeah, with sugar. Obviously, you saw me put the sugar in. But that's it. So so what you can do is, if you've got some leftover to start it off, if you've got some leftover kombucha, you can put that in the bottom, and then top it up with some sweet tea and the elderflower and the rhubarb, because you know you make elderflower wine with just the elderflower. Um, and it's the yeast, the natural yeast on the elderflower that does the fermenting. So and this is where can you get elderflower? So it's all over at the moment in the countryside, and on trees and bushes and stuff like that, and you can tell because of the smell. I only just found out we've got an elderflower tree in our garden, and that was because Gloria Ruth brought me some elderflower, and it was just, you can tell it's elderflower when you go past because of the smell, the fragrance. It's just such a really heavy smell. Some people don't like it, but you can tell, or look online for what it looks like, and then go and try and find one out there and smell it. It has a fragrance. So let me just answer some of these questions. So how do you make the red cabbage kombucha? So basically, it's red cabbage. It was so Gloria Ruth's on here, I think. She could answer that one. Basically, she makes for Smooth Cultures Brewery, she makes sauerkraut, fizzy cabbage, which is red cabbage. So she'll grate up the cabbage and add some spices, but essentially will add kombucha to the cabbage, and let that ferment for 5 days or whatever, and then you can start eating the cabbage that's fermented. It's kombucha fermented cabbage, but the water that comes off of that is red, right? So so if you've got a big jar and you've eaten the whole jar, and you're going to have a whole load of red kombucha cabbage water left over, and it's that I use for the soup. Yeah. Or you can ferment it. Sometimes we'll use that for shots. We make some, really powerful shots. You saw my garlic oil there. What I didn't show you this time around, and maybe next time around, is I have a similar one, which is peppers, hot peppers, which is fermented in kombucha. And it is wonderful to mix little bits of all of those with the leftover cabbage water. And then if you're not feeling too good, or you need a bit of down a little bit of that in the morning, you're done. And Caroline saying, did you say you freeze it? Yeah, the elderflower, pick it off the tree, don't wash it or anything, and in a bag in the freezer. Yeah. And I'm just having a look here. How do you get then the cabbage water which you added? So that, I think I've answered that one, Regina. I got the cabbage water from the leftover sauerkraut, if you like. And then I've answered that one. I think you asked me about leaving the tea. That's right. Is it better to leave the tea inside all day? I don't really. The thing is, you're going to get a really strong, if it's really strong tea, you'll get a strong kombucha, and it kind of depends on what type of kombucha you like. So the longer you leave it in, the kind of a stronger kombucha you're going to get. But it doesn't, I don't think it matters how long. All the recipes say take the bags out after 15 minutes, and then you get this very light, almost champagne-y type of kombucha, as long as your SCOBY isn't too thick. So I guess it's for that, to get that sort of sparkly feeling with your with your kombucha. Do you use, so this question says, do you use already fermented red cabbage or fresh cabbage? You use fresh cabbage because it's the kombucha. So you grate a cabbage up, and I think I've done this on one of the other, I think fermented food I'd done this, I think. Maybe not red cabbage with white cabbage. But you grate up the cabbage and just, the fresh cabbage, and then you add the kombucha. And the microbes in the kombucha will ferment the cabbage. Traditional sauerkraut is cabbage and salt. And if you rub all the salt into the cabbage, it makes all the water come out of the cabbage, and over the days, the salt breaks down the cellular structure in the cabbage, and the water that's locked in the cell comes out. But the microbes that are on the cabbage is what begins the fermentation in traditional sauerkraut. In traditional sauerkraut, you add the salt also to stop any bad microbes from taking the ascendancy in the fermentation process. And I used to do that, but you got to wait 3 weeks. And there's something about that is that you have to use really clean vessels. So what you put I had a crock there. My garlic oil was in my cabbage crock, which is what you would traditionally make the sauerkraut in. So you have to make sure that is absolutely clean, because if not, then you're going to get microbes from the dirty bit of your crock growing. And also, if you don't get rid of all the bits of bubbles and air that's in your cabbage, that little air bubble will grow some really nasty stuff. And then you'll take the thing off after 3 weeks and it'll smell disgusting, and you'll have to throw the whole thing away. So I did that a few times, and I'm like, what if I just put kombucha in there instead? And the important thing about putting the kombucha in is because you're giving the whole fermentation process a big kickstart. You're telling the fermentation process, these are the bugs that we're going to use to ferment with. It's a bit like making wine these days. So traditionally, you would squash down the grapes so all the water comes out, and then you would leave it for the natural fermentation process to happen. So the ferments that are in the grape would cause a fermentation, but you never. And that's not and a lot of people are going back to that now. It's natural fermentation. However, you don't actually know what you're going to get. It could be great, it could be disgusting, and so that's when they would start to add proprietary yeast to that preparation, so that yeast would overwhelm the other yeasts and drive the fermentation process. So what you're doing with the kombucha or with the shoikoji, remember you can do it with shoikoji, you are telling the ferment, this is where we want to go. We want to go with these bugs. Great. So do keep those questions coming, because this is the last one now. Enjoy this. So Hannah and I are emptying the deep fat fryer because the oil is gone a bit dark. So we are emptying under there so that we can change it and put that in. So we've cleaned that up a bit, and we're going to add some more later. And so Hannah is going to, what are you doing, Hannah? You're going to do the potatoes?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to wash them?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Okay, so we're ready to make the chips. You need to turn it on. Press start. Okay. Open it up. Let's see how we go.
That's it.
Yep. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, we're ready for our crisps. Don't you just love a deep fat fryer? There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're done. Get a bowl then.
Big bowl?
Yep, a big bowl. Put it there. There we go. Homemade crisps. Okay, madame. Taste test. So you've got your soup.
Yeah, soup.
Have a taste of that first. Nice.
Yeah, so the really good is hot.
Does it taste good?
Yes, it's really remarkable.
Remarkable, excellent. How about, what's that in there?
Seaweed.
Okay, go on then, try some. It's the garlic fermented seaweed. Any good?
Not too bad.
Oh, good. So you can put some in your soup if you like, or you can just eat it on its own. And what else have you got there?
Got bacon, crisps,
And
potato and cabbage.
yeah, so homemade crisps. And go on, put some. How are you gonna eat it? Go for it. Try the crisp. Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. And how about the bacon? Bacon bits. You're gonna put some in your soup, or you're just gonna eat it like that?
What's in my soup?
Okay. And then plonk some in your soup. Not all of it. I can see you reach some of it in your soup. Yeah. Just take a few bits and put some in. Yeah. And how about a bit of seaweed in there too? How about your kombucha? You can have a taste. Is it all right now?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Where?
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Okay. So, how did you find that? That is just, that is typical of my kitchen, typical of our house. The recipes don't always work, I have to say, but the kids kind of are used to whatever has been thrown together. But the soups are a common one, partly because the dog needs his food prepared. So we are doing soups a lot, and of course the bone broth soups, the stuff that makes up the collagen and the hyaluronic acid, which is the stuff that plumps up your skin, that comes out in the soup. Yeah, so that's a good one to to include. The whole bone broth soup thing is a really important one to be making sure that you're having in your diet on a regular basis. And so let's answer some questions. Could you explain again why it's not good to heat up olive oil? So the basic answer to that is because olive oil is a polyunsaturated fatty acid. So what that means is that there are sort of biochemically, there are double bonds between the carbons. I know that means nothing to you, but I have to sort of start there to explain why not. Now, the double bonds between the carbon atoms are very fragile. They're not stable, so they're wobbly. So there's two carbon atoms, and then the bond in between is this double bond, which is actually, think double, it's strong, but it's not. It's very, very wavy. And it means that the molecules do this. So that's why it's liquid at room temperature. And so these unstable double bonds make it liquid at room temperature. So you know that any of the oils that you have that's liquid at room temperature are likely to have those double bonds in them. So that's important to know, any of the liquid oils. The important thing about those double bonds is that if you break that bond, you are left with a free radical, right? So free radical, we know, is involved in inflammation, aging, cancers, and stuff like that. And what causes those bonds to break? Well, heat is one of them. Heat and sunlight, and heat and sunlight are the main ones. So traditionally, olive oil is kept in cans out of the sunlight, and it's kept in a cold place. So the Italians, the Greeks, they're going to keep it in cans and in the cellar. It's only in the UK that you see olive oil, and the West, you know, I'm sure it's the same in America, olive oil being sold in bottles out in the supermarket. And you can imagine that those olive oil bottles have been sitting in some heated up warehouse, or who knows, and who knows for how long. And so it's likely to be those bonds are broken. If you leave it on your countertop, sunlight will break those bonds. And so you go and heat it up, you just need making it worse. Now, natural olive oil, when it's first pressed, as opposed to the extra virgin, extra strain, that's just a gimmick, you know. So I used to live in the south of France, and the olive oil that came off the olive trees contained blobs, like little white blobs, which was lard, right? And that was the saturated fat that also came off some of that olive oil. And that actually creates a stable environment for the unsaturated. And so you see in France, people do cook with their olive oil, and I'm sure they do in Italy as well. But it's that type of olive oil, the olive oil that's got some of the lard stuff in it. You're still not going to see them deep frying with it, but they do cook with their olive oil. So that's why that's the olive oil thing. So the crisps, yes, they're potatoes. So you could have used, we will use potatoes, or we'll use yam, you know, African yam, or we'll use cassava, or sweet potatoes. But I just wanted to show you that we eat crisps, right? And crisps is one of my favorite things. But also the deep fat fryer has been demonized, and it shouldn't have been. You know, when I was growing up, everyone had a chip pan. You know, it was black and covered in, you know, looked like it'd never been cleaned and stuff. But everybody had a chip pan. And so here's the thing. So if you use oils that are stable at room temperature, so therefore solid, so those single bonds, carbon and a bond in between, which is single, is very rigid. If it's rigid, then it's going to be solid at room temperature. So you've got coconut oil, you've got lard, which should come from a cow that has been fed grass. You've got goose fat, you've got palm oil. So all of these things, solid at room temperature, means that they're stable, means that you can leave them out. Butter, you can leave all these things out. Butter's a bit softer. And obviously if you deep fry some of those, like palm oil and butter, because they've got some solids in it, it's the solids that will burn off. But your duck fat, your goose fat, your lard, coconut oil, you can deep fry in those. And so there's nothing wrong with deep frying those. What you just got to be careful of is that you change the oil. So you saw us changing our oil. They say after about 7 times or something like that, or if it starts getting black, if you notice that it's getting too dark, then you change the oil. Well, the thing is about the cooked bones is you can't eat the bones on their own. You're not gonna you're not gonna digest that bone on its own. But if you slow cook it, you're gonna get some calcium out of that bone. And you are going to get the stuff out of the bone marrow. So remember, the bone marrow is where the immune cells are made. So you're going to get all the machinery, all the sort of precursor products in that bone marrow in your, in your soup, and you get all of the stuff that's in the joint itself. So the joint, the gristle that you see, that is full of stuff like hyaluronic acid. So hyaluronic acid, glucuronic acid is the stuff that makes your own bones. They're the building blocks for your own bones and for your skin and your soft tissues. So soft tissue, so you're not aching and creaking and stuff like that. That's the stuff from the bone. But you need to get it out of the bone and out of the gristle. So that's why you would slow cook it. Yeah, that's all the questions. Come, guys, you got to have more. I know we're at the 1 hour point. I can't believe that we've done an hour already. So, I'll just wait for a few more questions to come through. And I just want to tell you about next week. I'm really excited about next week because I've got Dr. Stephen coming. Dr. Stephen's going to talk about the heart. And it's amazing. We did a kind of a dry run through last week, and whoa. He's written a book about My Amazing Heart, and he's basing the talks around that. But really, the reason I asked him along, and I've asked the other speakers to come along, is because in my practice, what I see is that when people get ill, it's not just the food or the toxins in the environment, it's the stuff that's happening subconsciously. I often call it a stuck record. We have stuff that's stuck, and we know that stuff does get stuck. We've just been talking about our soft tissues, memory, the seat of memories in our water, in our bodily water, in our cells, in those soft tissues. And I'm hoping to have Sigiloa also to come and speak to us. She does holistic massage. So when she massages, she can detect somehow memory that is locked up in the tissues. And for me, as well as teaching you about food and how to create, good environment physically, you can't divorce that from the heart. And because when your heart is well, and once we begin to uh, uh, govern over our heart, with our heart, through our heart, we will then be able to tell our body to be well. And so Dr. Stephen's coming next week. I think it's Monday, it's not Tuesday. So do look out for the newsletter to book in for that. Don't miss it, because it's just amazing. And this will be the first one. It's kind of an overview, and then he's going to take us step by step through the process of really getting in tune with our heart again. Really important one. So do look out for the newsletter and let other people know that he's coming on. And then, so that's next week, Monday. There won't be one on Tuesday. And then I'm doing breads the week after. So do tune in for that as well. Look out for that. My website's coming along nicely. So Regina, all the stuff that you're asking me about fats, that's all on the website. So basically the website is an online learning platform whereby you'll be able to, for example, take fats as a subject, and you'll be able to work through all the different talks on fat, and it's designed to lead you through in an educational way. So there'll be fats, there'll be probiotics and probiotic food, there's prebiotics, there's toxins, what else is on there, sugars and fasting, and there'll be diet to detox. There'll be the whole diet to detox plan on there, so you can just follow that if you're wanting to take yourself from not so good health to good health through diet, and you need guidance with that. Then that's going to be up there as well. Yeah. So a few more questions. How often do you eat chicken broth? Or meat broth, I would say, because it's either meat, chicken, at least once a week. And if you are unwell and you're returning to health, then you're going to be doing that probably every day. Yeah. Good. Any more questions? If not, we're up for the outro. I managed to keep to just over 1 hour, so that's not too bad today. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week with Dr. Stephen. Try not to miss it. Monday evening it will be. Okay, bye. I'm going to type bye and that. That's it for now, everyone. Remember, change starts with you. Be well.